Michael Yoder. I was briefly involved with a landmark forum. I call it Scientology Light, previously Est, and lots stolen from LRH. When you start into the cult, there's a lot of love bombing and encouragement, but the more I got into it, the more I saw the man behind the curtain. And after volunteering for a forum, I had a light bulb moment and realized that it was all a sham. My critical thinking had finally kicked in, and I started to question it all. I'm curious about your thoughts on how love bombing can disengage a person's critical thinking skills, especially when they're enticed by a cult or coercive relationship. Michael, thank you for this question. This is a really good one. Love bombing is a topic that is quite interesting and is a little deep. There's some biological stuff going on. There's different ways of looking at it, and I thought I might use this question to kind of go a little deeper on it. So I pulled up a couple articles and references that I thought I'd go over with you guys. First off, voice cracking here. First off, I want you guys to know that there are chemicals in the brain that are activated under certain circumstances. These are called neurotransmitters, and you don't have to get into all the neurology and neuroscience of this to know that there's chemicals in your brain that make you feel good. And there are a couple different ones, and I thought I'd differentiate these real fast. We have dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone. It's a hormone and neurotransmitter, and it's part of the reward system of your brain. So when you're experiencing pleasurable sensations, learning, memory, motor system functions, dopamine has something to do with all of that. So odds are, if you're feeling happy, you're feeling good, dopamine is involved in that process, and it's the thing that is firing off that's making you feel good. There is another hormone called serotonin, which is also a neurotransmitter, and that helps regulate mood as well as sleep, appetite, digestion, learning ability, and memory. Now, you're not going to get tested on this. I'm just throwing it out there for those who are interested, that these are the chemicals I talk about from time to time that make us feel pleasure, make us feel good, make us feel love. When we are experiencing the concept or feeling or emotion of love, these chemicals are firing off in our brains, right? Dopamine, serotonin, and specifically with love, oxytocin. That's actually called the love hormone, and it's essential for childbirth, for breastfeeding, for parent-child bonding. Oxytocin's involved in all of that, and it also helps promote trust, empathy, and bonding in relationships. Okay? So I'm bringing these up because love bombing is all about getting those chemicals firing off. That's what it's for. That's the intention of love bombing. And you go, okay, well, what's love bombing? Well, it's an attempt to influence a person by giving them demonstrations of attention and affection. And there's actually a whole Wikipedia page about this, and I'm pulling up a quote from Margaret Singer. Now, interestingly, the term love bombing was invented by the Moonies Unification Church in the 1970s, and it was used also by members of the Family International. Now, Margaret Singer was a anti-cult psychologist. She was one of the original sort of alarm criers about cults, and she wrote in her book, Cults in Our Midst, she said this: as soon as any interest is shown by the recruits, and we're talking about cults now, recruiting people, as soon as any interest is shown by the recruits, they may be love-bombed by the recruiter or other cult members. This process of feigning friendship and interest in the recruit was originally associated with one of the early youth cults, but soon it was taken up by a number of groups as part of their program for luring people in. Love bombing is a coordinated effort, usually under the direction of leadership, that involves long-term flooding recruits and newer members with flattery, verbal seduction, affectionate but usually non-sexual touching, and lots of attention to their every remark. Love bombing, or the offer of instant companionship, is a deceptive ploy accounting for many successful recruitment drives. Okay? And I thought, in the interest of giving you guys some information that you might actually utilize, in your own lives with this. Love bombing is also not just something done by cults, but it is a technique used by narcissists or people who are sort of stalkerish types, right, in personal romantic relationships. Love bombing is a tactic that's used in order to overwhelm a person and, again, get them firing off those chemicals in their brain so that they will establish trust and empathy and love for this person or for this group as quickly as possible. The idea is to speed up the process that we all usually go through anyway, which we call a courtship or a getting to know you, or that period of time when you're establishing a relationship with a person or a group. You know, you don't know these people. You don't know what this is all about. You have an interest in it. Maybe there's some friendliness with one of the individuals. Maybe a family member or a friend brought you in. So there's trust on that. But then you're trying to build it in this group. Well, how does the group go about doing that? They love bomb you. And this, I thought I might give you a couple more techniques or parts of how love bombing gets done. You know, they're overwhelming you, and it is a manipulation technique. Quote, it's often used to win over your trust and affection so that they can meet a goal of theirs, explains a licensed marriage and family therapist, Sharon Bekar. So it's trying to override your distrust or your initial social, like, no, you know, kind of bring that threat assessment down, right? Because when you're wary or not quite sure what's going on, you don't have a lot of information, you know, there's a threat assessment being done. But when people are giving you gifts or free things or introductory bonuses or percentages off services, you know, this kind of introductory stuff, that can be part of a love bombing campaign. They can't stop complimenting you. You know, now here's the thing about this that really feeds into and makes it manipulative is we all want to be liked and admired by people around us whose opinions we value and people that we trust. We want them to like us. It's a major driver for how we make our decisions and live our lives and navigate the course of our lives. But constant praise, right, can make your head spin. It can get you really high, really fast. When lots of people are throwing admiration at you, it can really rev you up, and it can get your head really big. It can really inflate you. And but this is, you know, if it's not genuine, then it's a bit of a red flag that people would be doing that to you, right? And this is one of the ways that this gets done is, you know, I love everything about you. I've never met anyone as perfect as you. You're the only person I want to spend time with. Now, from a cult's point of view, you're going to hear things like, you know, you are so amazing. You are, you know, people come in here every day, and I rarely see somebody as intelligent as you. You really seem to have a quick understanding for things. It makes a lot of sense that you would come in here and talk to us because this is a match made in heaven. This is perfect. It's so perfect that you chose to come in here. It really shows how clever, how intelligent, how insightful you are. Right? These kind of lines, okay? Now, this is interesting. They bombard you with phone calls and texts. You know, this is the thing with Scientology that they are famous for is never giving up, never surrendering your address or phone number. They always track you down and find you and try to, you know, bomb you with messaging and mail and texts and emails. They want, basically because they want your undivided attention. Yeah, this is a really big thing, right? True love, of course, and respect doesn't want your attention all the time, doesn't need you, you know, constantly having your attention on them. But a group like Scientology, they demand your attention all the time. They think that you shouldn't have your attention on anything else but Scientology all the time. In an ideal world, that is how Scientologists think about the subject. So when they're doing their recruitment, they very, very, very much want your schedule to be firmed up. They want to firm everything up and confirm it and double confirm it and triple confirm it and get you to come down even more often. And we have these seminars, we have these events, we have this workshop you can do this weekend. There's just an endless array of things that you can do to occupy your time with this new group that is love bombing you, right? So the other thing is they want commitment and they want it now. Okay, they're very like, let's go. This is the thing to do. A lot of pressure. And when you try to slow them down, they get really upset over boundaries, right? You want to place some boundaries. You want to put some filters, some like, I need my Saturdays to myself. I always take my weekends off, or Wednesday nights are for me, or, these kind of things. Oh, no, that shouldn't be that way. You need to be, you need to make a change. You need to dedicate yourself to this cause if you really want to solve this ruin that we have found for you, if you remember, all my talk about that. So basically, they come across as overly needy. Okay. And I think you guys get the idea from the things I've talked about here so far. So that's love bombing. And that is why it is purposefully designed to overcome your critical thinking skills, because it's all about, I've said before, almost from the very beginning of talking about Scientology, that there are two logical fallacies it really builds on, and that is appeal to authority and appeal to emotion. The appeal to authority comes from setting up a false authority, L. Ron Hubbard, and then claiming he knew what he was talking about and listening to him over any other authority. That is a logical fallacy. Also, with love bombing and with the kind of attention and emotional revving up that they do, that's the appeal to emotion. They're trying to make you feel good. And if something feels good, it must be true, or it must be right, or correct, or good for you. This is not always true. Twinkies taste really good, but they're not good for you. Right? There's a lot of things that are really pleasurable that are not good for you. So we can make this, we can get into very, error fallacious thinking if we are driven only by our emotions. And that's what love bombing tries to do. So that's why it works. That's why it's effective, but it can be spotted. You can, if you can keep your head on straight, then you can spot and overcome that effort. But it's hard. It's really hard because, again, we all want to be admired. We all want to be liked. We all want to have people, love us. And so there's that conflict internally, and that's why you have to keep your critical thinking head on your shoulders.